In a separate lesson, I discuss several criteria to help decide whether any problems your child or adolescent may be having are just temporary and part of normal development, or whether behavior is extreme and it is appropriate to seek professional help. In this lesson, I focus on key steps for getting that professional help. So we begin with the premise that you are concerned that your child may have a problem based on the criteria I outlined in that separate lesson. There are two major components of getting help for your child: evaluation and treatment. Evaluation is when a mental health professional interviews the child and parent in order to assess whether there is any need for concern and to make a psychiatric diagnosis. Usually that would be a psychologist or a child psychiatrist. Just an informal chat with your child usually is not enough for a careful evaluation. There are standard systematic interviews devised just for these purposes. During the interview, you will be asked about different areas of the child's life. And here are some of the topics to be prepared for. First, you'll be asked what specific symptoms the child may be experiencing. What are the behaviors or other aspects of functioning that are of concern to you? Are there unusual behaviors, thoughts, extremes of emotions, or anything related that may be of concern? Second, you will be asked how the child functions in everyday life. Here you might be asked about impairment, but also about many positive features too, such as the child's activities, friends, and any hobbies. 3, you are likely to be asked about the current family situation and any past or present issues that might be relevant. This might be simple details like how many adults and children are in the home, but also if there's anyone receiving treatment or experiencing problems that might be influencing the child. 4, you'll be asked about whether there are other potential stressful events in the child's life. These might include death of a family member, separation or divorce, moving to another school or city, or any change in the family in some significant way. Any one of these can lead to psychological problems that are marked but temporary. These are often referred to as problems of adjustment and usually pass, but the interviewer is going to want to ask you about these. In addition to these questions, there might be a physical health exam and perhaps laboratory test if something medical might be involved. Evaluation is designed to give a broad picture of how the child is doing in a systematic way. This picture will include whether the child has symptoms of one or more mental disorders, and with that, whether there is a need to intervene. Treatment is the second facet of getting help for your child. Many parents expect that once a diagnosis is reached, a clear treatment will follow. Sometimes that is true. For example, for hyperactivity, referred to formally as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, various medications have been shown to reduce and control the symptoms. Some psychological techniques, including parenting tools we have discussed in these videos, have also been shown to help very well. For autism spectrum disorder, psychological treatment based on behavior change tools we have discussed remain the main treatment that is used, but they are applied very intensively and under direct care of a professional, specially trained in these techniques. Even so, getting a diagnosis from an evaluation does not automatically clarify what treatment is provided. There are effective treatments for many psychological problems, and hence there is room for hope that changes can be made in what your child is experiencing. A key question is where to turn to get the treatment your child might need. First, go to reliable sources for information. Be very skeptical of what you might find on the internet. Just a web search based on the problem you believe your child has will generate all sorts of treatment options without telling which are fads, which are known not to work, and which ones are effective. This is very much like fad diets. The number of diets on the web without any evidence outnumber those that are known to make a difference. It is easy to get swept up in a simple solution for a psychological problem. Some vitamin, some vegetable, some preservative in the food. All these treatments are advocated for child psychiatric problems. I wish it were that simple. Go to a source that is based on a U.S. government evaluation of treatment or from a professional organization that focuses on mental health and considers the research on effective treatments. You can ask and search these websites to find out about effective treatments. There are others too, but this is a great place to start. To find a source for help, there are several options. These include local mental health services in your city, and you can search the Psychological Association in your state, which lists psychologists in your area. In the United States and Canada, most states, provinces, and territories have psychological associations that help find someone who provides treatment. Organizations for child psychiatry and for social work provide similar kinds of resources. The second thing you can do is to be prepared with relevant questions as you get close to starting treatment. At the very basic level, you will want to ensure the professional you go to is credentialed and licensed by the state or province in which he or she practices. Beyond that, here are some questions worth asking. First, what is the treatment that the professional will provide for your child's problems? Second, ask how long the professional has been providing that treatment. Third, ask whether the treatment has scientific evidence in its favor. Be careful here. I'll return to that in just a moment. 4, ask what other treatment options there might be for your child. You want to be sure to ask careful questions about the treatment. Many treatments that are available have strong evidence about their effectiveness, but you may not be getting that. You cannot be guaranteed at all that the person you are seeing is using the latest and most effective treatments. For example, problems seen in childhood may include depression, anxiety, disruptive behavior, or extremes of aggression and oppositional behavior. There are now very effective treatments for these problems. Some medications are available too, but they are not usually appropriate for aggression and oppositional behavior. And for autism spectrum disorder, there are treatments with excellent evidence in their behalf. It is important to be sure you are getting the best treatment, and these are not always routinely provided. It is good to be a critical consumer of mental health services. It is much easier to be a critical consumer when buying a washing machine, a car, or a house, or by skimming a few hundred reviews online for some product you may want to buy. In terms of mental health services, it is much harder to get that information from a reliable source. That is why the questions you ask are so important. Also, it is wise for most mental and physical health procedures, if they are major, to get a second opinion. So let me summarize my comments about treatment. Most children and adolescents may not need professional help at all. Even if they do require professional help, treatment may only be on a temporary basis to get them past or through a problem. This is, of course, dependent on the nature and severity of the problem that they might have. In the event that treatment is needed, there are many treatments that have been studied and shown to be effective. These are usually referred to as evidence-based treatments. If your child is having a problem, it is important to ensure your child, and for that matter, anyone in your family, is receiving one of those treatments. My comments in this lesson on treatment and in the prior one on when to seek professional help are general guides and are no substitute for seeking a professional opinion and in-person evaluation of your child. When in doubt, seek that option and get an evaluation. There is much that can be done to help your child and make child and family life easier when professional help is needed.